Tap it home into the hole. With this nice loop. So with that finished, with this particular job, I've got a loose cable and I want to fix it to the wall in such a way that it looks neat and tidy. It's permanently plugged in, so I've got to also gather some of that cable in down below. I'm thinking that I want to go probably about a foot, 300mm at least in, down in a straight line obviously, and then gathered up underneath the double socket. So the tools I'm going to need for this job are perfectly straightforward. As you might expect, we got a hammer to knock in the plugs, a PZ2 screwdriver, a crosshead or Phillips screwdriver will do. I've got a cordless drill, and that's got a PZ2 posi bit in, and that'll do nicely. I've got a pencil for marking the wall. I've got a 6mm masonry bit, which will go nicely with that white plug. Here are the screws, which have got one of these sort of crosshead slotted jobs, which is probably a Phillips, but a PZ2 will do nicely. And this is the cable clip cum strap, sort of rubber plastic thing. I've got a tape for marking the wall, and for gathering the cable together at the end, I've got this sort of Velcro strip. So there's the job, perfectly straightforward. So first of all, marking this wall, I was saying before, I'm going to loop the cable up like this, bring it across like that, and bring it down these perp joints like that. Now, each perpendicular joint, as you can see, is a stretcher going that way and a stretcher going that way, or should we say stretcher header, as I look at it from here. So in actual fact, I don't really need to put a straight edge down here. I just need to follow the bottom of each perp joint really. So all these perp joints, unsurprisingly, are in the same place. So let's follow that line, and let's see how often we would need a clip. So let's just assume that we're going to do something like that. And then I think we need to have a clip every, say, 4 courses, something like that. So I'd like to put a clip there, a clip there. Actually, there's too much slack there for my liking. That looks better. Clip there, turn it round tightly, and let's go a clip there. So starting there and then going every 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That looks quite good to me. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. And so on, all down the wall. So I've got my 6mm drill bit in my cordless, and I'm going to be drilling for this plug. So I'm thinking that I need to be something like halfway down this shank. So let's drill our holes. So I'm going to drill a series of holes as marked. This drill bit is slightly bent, but that's okay. Hence it's causing a bit of a wobble. Now you can see that I'm going into the mortar nicely. There's no pockets, and I'm not having to put the drill on hammer. If the mortar was a bit harder, I might engage the hammer, but there's no need. And so I'm going to drill these series of holes all the way down. Plenty deep enough, because there's no harm in being a little bit over deep. And as you can see, the holes are drilled, and so let's put a plug in each, like so. They're gripping nicely to the outside of the hole, so I know that the hole is not too big, and that is a nice fit. There we are, nice and snug. So if you look very closely at this plug, it's just sticking out of the bed joint by about 1 millimetre. So I would prefer it if that were knocked in so it was completely flush with the mortar. So one method of doing this is to put the screw in the hole and then just tap it home, just like that. So drilling these last hole. So now just putting the plugs in all of these holes. Driving these plugs home. And just like I did before, put a screw in and just tap it home. So in actual fact, it's going about 1 mil actually into the mortar, which means it's going to be, the plug is going to be nice and tight and grippy, so that when this screw goes in it, it's going to be pushing out the entire length of the plug onto mortar. So first of all, let's get a clip on the cable. So I'm just going to get a loose screw in there, and then I can start pulling the cable out here and positioning it where I'd like it in terms of that little loop arrangement that I'm going to put together. So first of all, I'm going to make sure that, looking at the clip, this is the thin flappy side and that is the meaty side where the screw goes in and then can pull hard against this block of plastic into the wall. And so if I did it this way round, it would be pulling against this, should we say, thin flap and probably cut into it. So the correct way to put it in is like this. So here we are. We'll put the screw into the block. It's quite tight, so it won't go any further by hand. So I'm now going to you can see that I've screwed the screw right through the block, and that gives me a chance then as you can see, to locate it into the hole, let's just screw it in about 2/3 of the way in, so that you can still pull the cable through as you want to. So what I'd like to do, as I was saying before, is have this little drip loop here. Maybe something like that. I think that looks quite nice. And I'd like to go and have a tight corner up here, and then carry on going. We'll pull this cable tight as we go. And often, if I can, I will turn the cable round to hide the writing on the cable. If you can, I just think it looks a bit neater. So I'm going to have to drill 2 more holes, one here and one here, in order to get those clips in. So let's mark the wall as we think we want it. And let's put a plug in each. Just driving it that little bit further. And so getting a clip in the same configuration up here, and just trying to work out how to do this. Same configuration again, up round to here. Just spring the clip open a bit to bring it round. Now, it's going to have to be a little bit of trial and error on how this all works out, in that I'm going to have to do quite a bit of adjusting to make it look right. But that's okay. I think all these little things make a job. So again, we're driving that screw all the way through, and this screw all the way through. We're going to pop this one in here, and we're going to pop that one in there. And now we're going to see how we can configure this so that it looks nice. Am I happy with that look? I think I am. So I'm going to start off by tightening one of these so I can then have at least one static position. So I've just turned the cable round a little bit to hide the writing. And very carefully I've tightened it up with the cordless, very, very carefully. If you want to, you can fine-tune things with a screwdriver. This is a PZ2, but actually you'd need a Phillips, but a PZ2 will do it, which is a posi drive. It's got a nice curve on it there, and that's going to pull straight nicely. And this one here, I think I'm going to put the clip over at that angle and tighten it up, and then we get a nice straight look to it. So let's tighten that up very carefully with the cordless so you don't over tighten it. So as you can see, it's exactly how I wanted it. It's straight up, a little bit of a nice curve round here, lovely and flat across the top, two nice looking clips, and we're down to a sort of a little drip section there, which is good, so the water can escape from the connection block unit here, drip off here, and so you haven't got any water collecting. That's nice. And then we're going to pull this cable nice and tight as we go, and I'm sure you'll agree that that gives a really nice sort of professional look to this cable installation. Okay, let's get the other clips in. So I want to get all the clips in the same orientation, so that means opening the clip, popping it on, turning it round, and again I want that writing against the wall. So I'm going to pop a screw in there. I'm going to put it all the way through with the drill. As you can see. I'm then going to pop the screw nicely in the hole. I'm going to screw it in nearly all the way, and then I'm going to make sure that when I pull it tight, this clip doesn't pull upwards clockwise with the winding of the screw. I just want to have it pull down at a slight angle. I'm going to pull this really tight so there's no, can you see there, we don't want this. We want a nice tight pull. And to get it absolutely perfect, pull it tight, and there we have it. Now that clip is really tight, but actually you can pull it a bit tighter. Even though it's pulled in tight on the clip, you can just pull it extra tight and then down onto the next clip here. So you get a lovely straight line all the way down. So same as before, open the clip, pop it on the cable, put the screw in the hole, screw the screw all the way through. Just push the cable tie up the cable, pop the screw into the hole, put it in about 2/3 of the way, eye it up, is everything okay? Yes, it is. Pull the cable tight. This is at a good angle here, this clip, and now I'm going to drive it home very gently so it crushes the clip, and again pull this cable a little bit tight even though it's in position, and then I'm going to rinse and repeat all the way down. So finally, just to finish this job off, I think I'd like to get a final curve going down here, and then I'm going to gather this cable up in a clip, and then finally it's plugged into there, so to make a nice neat job of this excess cable. So first things first, I'm going to put another cable clip in, should we say around there. And so that's our last clip put on with this nice loop here. And now I want to tidy this cabling up, and I think the best way to do that is to unplug it and let's get some loops going on underneath where it's going to be plugged in. It's going to be something, I think, like that. I'm going to say that that actually looks quite neat. So with that finished, here is the completed job. And although this was only a very small and very simple DIY job, I think you'll agree that if you take the time just to make things accurate and how you'd like to see them, think the job through beforehand, implement it calmly and accurately, you end up with a really thoroughly nice job. And I am very pleased with the way that this now looks. I think it's got a professional look to it. So I hope that was helpful, and see you in the next DIY video.